WRFG Atlanta.
Good morning blues will brighten up your day as you put on your shoes. Yeah, yeah. You know it's got to be the way to wake up each and every day on WRFG in Atlanta. Good morning blues.
Good morning, blues.
We lost a great artist on Sunday, Mr. Gordon Haskell, who you heard on this show in June. I'm going to replay that interview now in his honor. He had a platinum album in the early 2000s with Harry's Bar. He's a great jazz singer. He's a great songwriter. And he'd made the album of his life, as far as I'm concerned, The Cat That's Got the Cream. And he's a lovely bloke too. And out of nowhere, his backaches that he and I were swapping remedies on turned into lung cancer when he went and got it checked. Crazy. That was just in July. He died on Sunday. And it's a terrible, terrible waste. Please enjoy the wonderful Gordon Haskell.
Well, it's Good Morning Blues. It's Thursday. It's time for your usual installment of manic music and mayhem, but more importantly, have a wonderful guest for you to chat to and listen to today, Mr. Gordon Haskell. How are you, Gordon?
Pretty good, Bob. How are you?
I'm just hoping that the extra little sneak additive I put in my coffee will get me through the next 2 hours. I can't tell anybody on the air what it is, so...
I'm silent on the matter.
Very diplomatic of you. So, what a beautiful album that I've been playing the last few days. And all I can say is it seems to me like you let go. It's joy. It's a lover's album for all, and for all people, and for all. It has all genres in it too. But I've just felt like you sat back and go, boom. Here's how I feel, and without the handcuffs.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate synopsis. It's like the culmination of, that's a long word, culmination of your lifetimes practicing, and suddenly you're going to let go because you've got all your chops together. It's effortless to sing. You can write a good tune, because you've been practicing for years. If you can't do it now, you're never going to be able to. And it just all came out in the same month. And the writing was of the highest standard I've ever reached. So the singing, I didn't realise that I'd been improving slowly. You don't. If you leave gaps between albums and you gig and gig and gig and gig, you don't notice yourself getting better every year, and you think you'll be the same, but I haven't stopped. If you had a graph, it would just be starting in 66 and going to 2020, and it's all in a straight line northwards. Conversely, if you look at the record business and you draw a line, it's all in a straight line going south.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's crazy how that happens. And the way I looked at it was, this is an album for love past and present, extinct and existing, all
it's real. It's real. It's from a real experience that happened 8 weeks before it went on to record it. It was so raw. When your entire world fell apart in a foreign country. We were living in Greece, and the Greek economy was destroyed by the banks. So our economy was destroyed, and that in turn coincided with just eating away a marriage, because there was a frustration. You can't get back to England because you've lost all your money, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose your wife. That's exactly what happened. So I found myself having lost absolutely everything. There's nothing left of a lifetime's work. I rented an apartment, and the songs all came out. Heartbreak and knowledge and wise songs and how you're going to get out of this. And funnily enough, it sounds very positive because I've actually turned the luck around from bad luck. I turned it all around, and my wife came back. And it was the most emotional roller coaster I've ever experienced. And that's why I think it's so, I'll have to say it, I'm allowed to say it at 74. That's why it's so good, because it's so real.
It is real, and I can feel that, and that's what I picked up on. It does have one failure to it, though.
It does?
Trying to pick the best one, because I love the whole bloody thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up liking the country one best.
Well, that's weird. Wish you'd say that, because I hesitated on whether I should mention that track number 4, how that came across, but still trying to figure it out, because I thought maybe I've been in America too long, but that definitely has a country tinge to it, you know.
And it's a good, it's so real. It's like we are still trying to figure it out in some ways. You know, we've got a lot of it right by now, but when you if you have the misfortune to catch the evening news, makes you wonder. You know that.
I gather news for 5 minutes on 3 different sources to get everybody's opinion. A
balanced lie.
Yeah, and that's it for the day. Because I will interpret that, and I will go swinging down the lane, being me, the rest of that day, in the knowledge that, okay, well, I've heard what I've been told, and that's all I need to know. I'm off now. And
it's a fiction. It's a fiction, and more fakery. And I think they borrowed their whole. I think the world and its power structure and politics and banks, they've all borrowed it from show business, because show business is nothing more fake than the fakery of certain show business people. And they become actors, you know, like the politicians, they read a script, and I think they borrowed the whole thing from show business. It's like acting, it's like reading a script. Don't vary from the script. No ad-libbing. You know what I mean? And
it's funny because I use the term often here when I say something's been sprayed with Hollywood, because it changes people. And you and I talked about a recent interview that I did about the person involved, and when other people knew that was going to happen, they were all rah-rah and complimentary. Well, I know for a fact that they don't like each other at all, but they were going through the whole bootlicking process to still be part of the clan, and I won't be in that clan.
Yeah, when I got my number 2 album, number 2 single in 2002, Greg Lake sort of posted me, "Welcome to the club," you know. like we went to school. In the school days, we all knew each other, but because I wasn't a big-time rock star, I wasn't welcome to the club until I had a number 2 album, and I thought, you bloody idiot, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Just an idiot.
That's a membership card I don't want. I told...
Yeah, like the Marx Brothers.
Yeah. I worked, I'd say the last 10 years of my corporate working life I despised, because I was putting on a suit and basically doing what I was told, and no one else really was buying into anything that anyone else was doing. I was a mercenary to the dollar bill, and that's all part of my escape at 52. But one of the things that made me laugh was after I retired and got away from all that, I book music now at a music venue in town, and I do this. That's how I stay super busy day and night. But I get a letter from Delta Airlines in the mail. "Welcome to the Million Miler Club." Now, I wasn't working in that business anymore, and I thought, God, is that what I have to be proud of the million miles I wasted sitting on aeroplanes in a suit, going to see people that I wasn't interested in, and they weren't interested in me.
Yeah, it's amazing how wrong they can be.
That's okay, because we've got it all sorted out with this wonderful piece of plastic. It's amazing how just a few inches of round stuff can affect you. The cat who's got the cream. We're talking to Gordon Haskell. We're going to play you some music now, and I'm going to start off with what I think is the most, I won't use the word commercial, the most attractive, palatable track, and you're probably going to figure out before I come back, Gordon, what it is, but we're going to jump in right now and let them hear a taster on the Morning Drive Time Show.
When did my sunny skies all turn to gray? Whatever happened to you're here to stay? I've been struggling to fathom out what happened to you. I have had to confess that the rumors are all true. But I'm still mad about you. How can I lose you now? I let it slip. I would want you back somehow. I gotta get a grip. Maybe you might give me some latitude, give me a clue. I'm up for changing my attitude, long overdue. 'Cause I'm still mad about you. I'm still mad about you. How did it fall apart? When did we?
Hi, this is Dana Gillespie from London, England, to tell you about the second best way to wake up. Just tune in to UK Bob and his Good Morning Blues show and feel good for 4 hours on WRFG Atlanta.
So, that being the swing version, there are two versions of this amazing song, I'm Still Mad About You, and it's absolutely clear to me, having played the album 3 or 4 times, why you would later on in the album do a shuffle version. There's something about that song. They're all wonderful, 10 wonderful songs. I'll even admit to the country one. But there's just something in that. It's positive romance.
Yeah.
It's to me, I call it the crush song. You say Mad About You, and over here I guess it connects with a lot of people simply for a couple of things. I guess the word mad about you in that context is supposed to mean enthusiastically fond, meaning it's not, X certificate, but there was a big hit in '86 by Belinda Carlisle. And then just last year, a big TV show, both for sale. And I think it will resonate with a huge range of people. But that is just one killer song. Lyrics and everything. The way that melody captures you, and it gives you a belief. And I don't know which of the things you went through brought that song up, but you were absolutely right to do another version.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Really enjoyed doing it the other way. As soon as we did the big band version, the arranger said, this could be a hip-hop record. And I said, what the hell is that? I know what R&B is, and I know what jazz is, but I haven't followed the new genres, and I can't really tell the difference when I hear them.
I think it's Harry Belafonte.
Anyway, but yeah, it's what it made me think of was the way that Cole Porter used to write songs, and I think you could say it's a student of Cole Porter thinking, that song. You couldn't get better anyway.
No.
Better somebody to sort of strive towards. And I think I'd just seen Midnight in Paris with Woody Allen. I don't mean I went to the movies.
I'm glad you didn't go with him, because you would need to go back through the sheep dip if you did.
And Cole Porter appears there. So yeah, maybe that's where that song came from in my. I wish I was as good as that guy. We all strive to be the very best we can be, or we should do.
Yeah.
That's really the story of my life. I'm not striving to be the richest man. I'm not striving to get a Rolls Royce and a position in life. I'm striving to be the best that I can be, and that's the one thing that I think I've done with this album. Is the best that I can be, and that's good enough for me.
Well,
it's the best that I can be, and it's good enough for me.
See, to me, after listening to that the first time around, what I do is I have a quick mental note of what stood out, and by the second time around, that's the song that wakes me up in the night. If I'm awake at night, I get up and make a cup of tea, chocolate biscuit, put the TV on for 30 minutes, 4 in the morning. I did it this morning. Couldn't sleep. My brain won't shut down. That's the song that comes in my head. And then I know that's going to be the lead song. It's not always what everybody agrees with, and I don't care. But what caught me was I believe that's the one that you promoted as a potential single, or is a single. I don't know. I'm too far away. But I can hear it
starting off. I can hear it starting the show. It's a crowd. It's an opener.
Yeah.
It's an opener. You have to have a strong song for an opener, and it just sounds like an opener.
That's another big thing that people get wrong, as George Harrison used to say about having the walking order. Right, getting the order of the songs is a hugely important factor if you care about, sales and revenues, and you have record labels that have demands. It actually has a big impact. And the way you set it out, because there is such a range of things in there, I haven't rearranged it. I annoy my friends by rearranging the order of albums, by changing the track number and putting it back in the library, because it's a digital library,
Right.
So that's the way it should have been done. This one I won't touch. It's right on the money, spot on.
Yeah, we spent a long time doing it. I have to credit my wife with that. She came up with the final.
Did you say it loud enough for her?
Yes, I did. She got ears like a bat.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jeepers. Number 8. Unusual for you to do a cover. I recall, that's a weird thing. I've forgotten about that. Didn't you do an album of Michael Frank's stuff?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was in honor of him, because when you could divide my life into bass player and part-time songwriter, and then you get to a certain point and the guy's become an artist, whereas as a bass player he's a musician.
Right.
And there's a distinct difference. And I wasn't confident about singing for years and years and years. I started with J.J. Cale, anybody that didn't have a voice, really. And I was doing gigs on my own. And I discovered Michael Franks on a trip to L.A. in, I don't know, it was 78 or something like that. And I got very excited, because I thought, well, similar kind of vibe, I'll start doing some of his. And gradually, all these other artists that I didn't feel inferior about. You know, you don't try out a Stevie Wonder song if you can't sing, do you?
Right.
Unless you're nuts, you know. But there are certain people that you can do, in a set. And Michael Franks was a very strong influence for 3 or 4 years back in the late 70s, early 80s. Then I started going out on my own and developing a guitar style and a vocal style. And the more I did it, the more it became me. And in the end, Michael had served his purpose, and I felt I owed it to him for giving me a lift, if you like, because I wasn't confident. You know, I am now, but for years I wasn't confident, and I had to make a living. I had to go out and face an audience, and I did very well. I did 20 years on the road of doing places where, you have to be a lion tamer in some of these bars.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially when the buggers aren't listening. That's very, very...
And I did very well. I always got booked back. It was a pretty basic arrangement. If you sell more booze than the guy last week, I book you back. I always sold more booze than the bloke last week, and we didn't get any more musical than that. But it did work for me for a long time, and because the voice developed, and you got the gravelly sound, and you became yourself. You became an artist in your own right. And the Michael Franks album is a nod to say, I haven't forgotten, Michael. Thank you very much.
Well, it's a wonderful testimonial, because at the time I was a big Michael Franks fan.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, from that period. I haven't listened in a while, because my brain moved on, and he hasn't done much either, because, he's probably bought his own island in Hawaii and all the things that you and I despise.
Well, Warner Brothers dropped him, like they dropped James Taylor. They dropped everybody, they dropped all the talent and started signing...
Well, no, let's make sure we slag all the major labels before we're done. Okay, so we've done Warner and Atlantic. We're okay. But yeah, it was the reason I mentioned it, because we diverted from talking about track number 8, which was a cover on this album, and the only one, is because those of you out there that are listening, talking to Gordon Haskell about a wonderful new jazzy love album that's full of romance, but full of every kind of genre you can think, called The Cat Who's Got the Cream. But this song, You Will All Know, is an old song by Johnny Mercer from 1958, and Jeepers Creepers. But here's where we have to talk about Paul Buck. That arrangement is so completely reinventing the song, and it melts perfectly with your voice. I mean, the guy is amazing.
Well, Paul Buck is amazing on this whole album, but that is the one song where it was my arrangement.
Oh, sorry. It says on the artwork that it was him. Apologies.
Yeah. I credited him. Erase what I just said. It was my feel. I'd been kicking the song around for years, and I played it down, and he played the keyboards, and then we went from there. But yeah, I mean, he is the arranger, the technical arranger, and but the idea of doing it was from years of kicking it around and wondering, is it strong enough for a set? Well, I never included it in a set because there was only me on one guitar, or a couple of guitar players. So you needed the whole band to make it work. So Paul Buck provided all that. Paul Buck's fantastic on this album.
Well, I'm glad that you corrected me, and I'm pleased to hear that, because I couldn't figure out how that came around. You've made my mind up for me now, because I really wasn't sure what we were going to play next. I was just going to wait and see how this conversation went. That's the wonderful thing about not being controlled. There are no handcuffs here. If I decide to switch a song, I switch a song. End of. So we are actually going to play track number 8 from this album, Jeepers Creepers, and I think anyone that knows this song is going to go, whoa.
Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Oh, those weepers, how they hypnotize. Guys, you'll get up, well, how they get so lit up. Guys, you'll get up, how they get that size, how they hypnotize. Golly gee, when you put your heaters on, woe is me, I gotta put my cheaters on. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those weepers? Jeepers, creepers, how they hypnotize. Gosh, you'll get up, well, how they get so lit up. Gosh, you'll get up, how they get that size, how they hypnotize. Golly gee, when you put your heaters on, woe is me, I gotta put my cheaters on.
Buckle up and tune in to Route 66, Sunday morning from 7 to 9 on WRFG. It's a devilish cruise for the blues, jump, R&B, boogie-woogie, early rock and roll, and jukebox jazz.
That two-beat pattern is the music brought to the United States of America by the communist conspiracy to corrupt teenagers, and it's in every rock and roll number.
That's right, we have fun playing all that dangerous music from the 40s and 50s that guys like that didn't want teenage America to hear. Plus songs from artists who are still keeping the tradition alive today. So please join us for Route 66, Sunday from 7 to 9 a.m. on WRFG. In Atlanta, we're 89.3 FM. Your independent community radio station is rocking around the world on our free mobile app and WRFG.org.
So, peoples, feel free to do as you usually do, ukbob@mindspring.com, ask questions about the show, about Gordon, about what we talked about Jeepers Creepers, which we just played, and if there's anything you forget, don't forget later in the day, the show will be out there on YouTube and SoundCloud, and you can remind yourself of all the wonderful things that you heard so that you can go out and hopefully procure some of the goodness that you've enjoyed so far for free. Don't forget, in the next week or two, we'll be sending out the TV detector vans to make sure that you've bought your WRFG license so that you get nabbed. Yeah, I do that to them. When it's pledge week time, because this is listener-supported radio, we send out the van. Because I'm the only one that knows about it. It's a secret van with secret handshakes and everything. But anyway, back to Jeepers. you know how people just go along with a song and it's catchy, and if it gets their attention, the melody or type of music, then they pay a little more attention to the lyrics. But then there are some songs that are so good, everyone is like doing this and catching. They actually don't, know too much about it, and they should in this one. It was actually nominated as for an Academy Award by Satchmo in the film Going Places, and it's a song about a horse. And the title, Jeepers Creepers, was slang for Jesus Christ. And I don't think too many people know that.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
So
amazing.
It is bizarre, but fantastic that you managed to turn it around. I've heard several songs. I love it when people do mashups and covers in a quality way, and it's only when you've heard the second verse of the lyric that you realize, oh God, I know this song. This has just been turned upside down, and that's what that one did. So, well done.
Yeah, great fun.
I've actually, where did it go? I've just got a text. I've had a complaint from Tink. Tink is pissed off.
A cat.
Yeah, that she's not on the album cover, and Fred is, and wants me to put you on the spot.
Oh, well, that's good. That's come from Tink's new owner, and I said, please send a photograph of Tink, and I never got it. Isn't that amazing? The internet, eh?
Well.
You want? Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, we left the cats behind. That broke my heart as well.
Oh dear. Oh well. Well, that's a good enough reason then. So how come Fred got a pass?
Fred's in the studio. That's John's dog, the producer. John's sweet, and he wouldn't leave us alone. He was a very laid-back dog.
There are often dogs in studios, and they're always used, or they're added partly to a song. Oh God, now I'm going back. Small Faces, the Universal, Steve Marriott's dog barking in the backyard at the beginning. Yeah. I hate it when my brain just runs off like that. Anyway, how do you have to do any voice exercises for control and to take care of your throat?
No, this is what amazed me when I went in to do the vocals. Because years ago, I used to dread doing the vocals. Go back 20 years, I used to dread it because the tracks would be so good, and then you stick your vocal on it, and you feel, well, that's not very good. But this time, I sailed through the vocals, and there were no repairs. I mean, it was just a choice of takes. And when you said at the beginning of the interview, it sounds like you let go. I let go. And I've been free. It was the most glorious time I've ever had recording. This was the whole of the beginning of last year, right up until July, when I did the tracks and the vocals. Then it's something else because you turn it over to the studio, and John Sweet is a fantastic producer, but he's probably like that detective Monk. Have you seen Monk?
I know who it is, yeah.
The defective detective, so everything has to be in its place. So he's over the top with his clicky mouse, but there were no repairs to do. But when you're dealing with orchestras and brass sections, there's a lot of moving parts, and it took weeks and weeks to bring out the real thing, because we didn't want it to sound at all synthetic. So we hired real brass players, occasionally got in some string players, but it was a limited budget. But we did ever so well. It sounds fun. I mean, it is a real album with real musicians. It's excellent, but it takes time to get that quality in a digital studio, because years ago, in my first album, we'd do it all in a day,
Oh yeah, I mean it was so different then, but the thing that stood out was the fact that I could tell, because the scenario, the album, and the time period, there's no stress involved.
No.
I think that's the key. You take out the stress, then you put back the reality, and like you said, proper musicians that can read music and know what's going on.
Yeah, it's in a way, it's the American way. the American songbook, they did everything right. They had first-class songwriters like Johnny Mercer, Cole Porter. They went from there. Then they'd get some sort of second-rate singer like Frank Sinatra. And, they couldn't go wrong because they just go for the best. And in a way, we've got an album here that I think will last for years. I think it's a classic. I think it's every bit as good as anything that's out there.
I honestly believe you can put this on with a crowd. You can put it on quiet after dark. You can use it in your car to de-stress from traffic. The application is such that it catches you. The content of the lyrics will relate to a lot of people. The production and the melodies will waft around in your brain to a frustrating level because you'll wake up like I did singing them. But I'm going to move on to another song that I think you might have a buyer for. It's a track that I got to the end, or close to the end, and I said, ooh, there's someone that can do that. Stands to Reason, track number 9. I think, and by the way, best solo from Robbie, I think I recall. It's a long piece, but that is a Boz Scaggs song, if ever I heard one. And he has followed your path, as opposed to you following him. He's 76. So, having saw him at Richard's Cafe in the 70s on video, rocking out with the guitar, and over the years, he's become a singer-songwriter that has stuck to just gently playing, but mostly focused on singing. His last 2 or 3 albums, I mentioned to you by email that you have now replaced him in that top-end catalogue of people that I want to put on late at night and snuggle up with my honey, because that's what he did, and this song is right up his street.
That's the best compliment that you could ever give me and John, because you talked about Michael Franks being an influence. I mean, I was influenced by Boz, but I didn't dream that I'd come anywhere near. But I think we have on that track, and thank you very much. And incidentally, there's a little secret in the lyric there about we've been lied to. A lot of stuff in life, we live this illusion, and stands to reason we're going to have to pay for living that lie.
Yes.
And here we are, here we are. We're
going to pay the piper.
Yeah, we're going to have to face up to a new way of life now.
Well, let me have a quick shout out to Mr. Scaggs, if he's listening, which he often drags himself out of bed to pull his ears up to the radio. Here's a song, mate, that you need to get a hold of Gordon and offer him gobs of money and see what happens.
Yes, yes, please.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, presenting a song called Stands to Reason from the wonderful Mr. Gordon Haskell, who you're talking to. The album's called The Cat Who's Got the Cream, and he surely has with this song.
Stands to reason, or so it goes. Where this is hidden, nobody knows. Some say they're right, some say they're wrong. We'll have the answer before too long. Stands to reason, and it's nothing new. You may discover things just ain't true. Some won't believe it, and some will see it through. The cookie will crumble, whatever they do. consequentially, it's down to you and me. 'Cause I'd be nothing without you. And confidentially, the only place to be is here with you. And furthermore, stands to reason some people say there'll be a big price we'll have to pay. It won't be easy, but we'll find our way, and it stands to reason. That's why I'm here today.
This is John Cleary from New Orleans, Louisiana, and you're listening to UK Bob, the Good Morning Blues.
See, that's a killer. It's too long for me to play the whole thing. And also, I tend not to do that anyway if I've got a guest on the phone, because they're going to want more and I want them to buy it from you versus copy.
But it's repeat, halfway through. It's the last verse is repeated, the bridge is repeated, so you'll get the whole of the lyric, which is, I'm so glad it went on the album, because I had to be quite tough with myself about not doing certain songs that I'd written. I had more songs than I needed, and it was a tough one, dropping a very, very sad song. But I'm glad I did in favour of that, because that's a real, like you say, it's up there with some of the greats. Whereas a sad song, who needs another sad song?
Yeah.
Not at this time.
But like I was asking about your voice, in order to, there are people that, what's the term they always use, world weary or something? You don't remotely sound weary. What's the other, the adjectives that come out always crack me up. But you sound like you've got that grained in cry in your voice. I'm not talking Johnny Ray. I'm talking about a sound that is your stamp. It's your DNA.
Yeah, it's me.
Right.
There
isn't anybody that does what you do today like that. And I think it's cool. And I wondered whether you do have to, gargle with scotch or whatever.
No. What you have to do is keep working.
Oh, is that what it is? You see, now you mentioned these four-letter words again. We're going to have to stop this.
Yeah. I watched some of our celebrated rock stars, and I know they haven't worked for 3 or 4 months because they've gone rusty and they're not that comfortable. But if you work a lot, first of all, the whole secret of delivering is don't be nervous, because with uptightness, you can't play the bass. You're no good as a rhythm section if the bass player's uptight and the drummer's uptight. You've got to be in the vibe, and you've got to leave your body. And when you leave your body, you take the audience with you. And I get so much mail from people. The best letter I ever got, which is inexplicable, but it's in this. It goes some way of explaining what I found what I've discovered, if you like, and it's all mine, if you like, and that is there was an email from a guy in Cyprus, and his friend was an English soldier. Now, I'm not pro-army by any stretch of the imagination, but he wrote and said, I am playing our man, Gordon Haskell, who has accompanied me on 3 tours of Iraq, 2 tours of Afghanistan, and now I'm in Africa looking after a guy with more money than sense. And I'm with a bottle of vodka, the Russian stuff, and he's got me through. Well, that's a long way from killing and murder and the army and everything I disapprove of. But if I've given a guy courage or some kind of spiritual courage to face what he's got to face, I've done something.
I mean, what a wonderful antidote if you could bottle it and give it to every poor bugger that has to put on a uniform and, Queen and country and all that, and do things they probably don't want to do. They're just following orders. Somebody has to.
Yeah, and I think what he's hearing is the truth.
Yeah.
And what he's facing is a lie. That's what I think. And I think people that write to me and say, you helped me through a bad spot, I'm handing them a lifeboat, if you like, to get through some crap they're going through. And it is crap, mainly. It's probably not anything that you can talk about, but I'm of use. I'm of use. That's you can't put a dollar sign.
No,
on
you
that,
can't. When you're able to function in a way that gives to others something that is essential to all of us, to a sanctuary. We all need sanctuary, and if you're in the role of a traveling person, like that military situation, you've got portable sanctuary in a little packet. So
in a pod, yeah. And he's not the only one. When the How Wonderful You Are made number 2, I got this email from a colonel in Bosnia, and it was the same kind of stuff. You were an inspiration to our men, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, I've been anti-war all my life. And there I am getting letters from soldiers.
Well, maybe, see, what you might not have thought of is that you are anti-war, and that's how you're getting to them, calming them, pacifying them, giving them sanctuary so that they're not trigger happy and picking off by accident, women and children or people that they could otherwise avoid hurting. So, I think so. I don't see why it couldn't be seen that way.
So they stick out a mile, and you get your ladies, of course, that are going through a hard time with their husbands and stuff like that. But that's.
I've realised in day 63. Well, I realised long ago, but more it goes on. Day 63, me and my quarantine queen. We are just perfect in the sense that we spend our days together. She's downstairs right now because just hanging out, and we'll go out for lunch and we'll just live our lives together all the time. And it feels odd when we're not. We want the same things the same way. She says exactly what she thinks. She had a couple of glasses of wine. She told somebody rather important at some point, "You're not really that good, but I'm here because he's here." And even I went, oh God! But I love that, you see, because it's the honesty and the reality. So, but there are so many people that are not enjoying their quarantine. I've heard about breakups. There's a lot of anger, frustration. Then, of course, you've got the idiots that mistreat their partners and all the stuff with that. And what I said yesterday when I heard a bad story about a relationship that had broken up during, I said, well, good. Because it was broken already. All this did was underline it and give you a reason to move on. So. Yeah,
you're right. You're dead right. Yeah.
On to happier things. A couple of mentions. There was a couple of things I wanted to plug in well done to the cast and crew of this movie that we're making about the album The Cat Who's Got the Cream. Wonderful. We talked about Robbie, great solo in the Boz song. But you've also, got... gosh, sorry, I'm having trouble thinking. What's his name? Guy Barker, who I know from Georgie fame. And I always tell people, if ever I go to see Georgie, it could be at Ronnie's or somewhere intimate. I always go to great lengths without getting any favours, but simply being eager and ahead of the game to pay for my seat at the front with my feet on the speakers. I said, I can't really feel a Georgie Fame concert if I don't feel the spit off Guy Barker's trumpet. That's my rule. But the things that he does stand out so well. For example, in the I guess it's a samba version of How Wonderful You Are, Latin version. There's two places where he embellishes it with flugelhorn, just perfectly. It's subtle. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. But to my ears, of course, it stands out. I go, well done, because you wouldn't necessarily notice the gap, but what a fabulous filler that is. And he does it in a few other places too. But he's like superb.
Yeah, I've known him virtually all his working life. I was living in London when he first started out, so I followed his career with interest, and so it was great to be able to... I worked with him when I had an RCA contract in 78, and I hadn't seen him for 30 years.
Whoa,
so it was great,
great
to get back. Yeah.
There's a connection. We've had another moment.
Oh, have we?
Do you remember me telling you about my tenure at RCA as an errand boy in the elevator with Fluff Freeman?
Oh, yeah.
Same year.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, in fact, I remember...
Was that you he was fighting with?
No, but he was always in that elevator. He had his office put into the elevator. He had running water and everything. He never came out.
Did he call it the TARDIS or TARDAT? I can't remember. Oh, that is bizarre. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off there, but...
That was right at the start of the punk thing,
Yeah.
My timing has been amazing. I got a record deal with RCA 3 months before the Sex Pistols, and that paid to my sort of music.
What are you saying? You can't put clothespins in your ears? What's wrong with that? Snob.
Yeah. And then I bring out an album when the entire world decides to close down.
Yeah.
Fantastic timing. It's funny, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But as I say, this album will last for donkey's years.
Exactly. Right. There are people that have looked at what I've done in order to get what I always knew was there, and boy, it didn't take long to find. I told my wife this story, probably the second or third date, about how I felt. And I said, where have you been? She put her hands on her hips. I've been here all the bloody time. 52 years it took me to find her. We were in New Orleans on a vacation within about 6 weeks. Oh, that reminds me. Fleur de Lis. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
No, one place I always wanted to go.
You have got to go. It is so you, because that is the most real place in America. It's not America. It's a bit of France, it's a bit of this, the Creole, Lafayette and everything. We go 2-3 times a year. I go to all the festivals. Absolutely fabulous. So
I was a big Dr. John fan.
Oh, well.
So there's somebody with had a fantastic voice, and all of his own, Those are the sort of artists that I aspired to, if you like. Somebody that cut their own suede. It wasn't Elton John, but they were very special, and boy, would we have been poorer without them.
Oh man, yes, and sorely missed. I was lucky to be at one of the last, probably the last Atlanta show at City Winery, table number 28, because I knew that's always right under where the horns and the piano are, which is where I want to be. I know it's
You're a lucky boy.
No, it's critical to me. If you're going to go, be right bloody there. Not at the back yapping at. I don't drink, so yapping at the bar is a waste of time for me. Give me a Coke, Pepsi, or something, and I want to be at his toes. And I was at his toes for the last show, and he did some things he hadn't done before, but his eyesight had gone, and so many other things were happening. But yes, you're right. But you've got to find a way to do that. I'm struggling to decide, so I think I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to play one more, but I'm stuck between two that there's a lot to say about. It's a misunderstanding, or more than that. I've deliberately played a fast swing, a super slow one, and something in the middle, and I was heading towards misunderstanding because it's got like just a medium style jazzy beat, but at the same time, more than that, is another slow one. It has this aching, longing, I can't believe it ended kind of thing, that I think would grab people, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's what you used to call an A sign. But I'd like you to play that and my particular favourite of the moment, which is I'm still trying to figure it out. So you choose, but that's the figure out song is mine, because it kind of sums me up that you got the perfect relationship, you got the perfect life, and the whole thing goes tits.
Right, yes.
You think, what the hell did I do wrong?
It doesn't, you see. I'll send you pictures of everything I walked away from. I have less material wealth and collateral than I've ever had in my life, and I couldn't be happier, satisfied, content,
I've never been happier either. And they, the billionaires, they have nothing that I want, and more importantly, they have nothing that I need.
Right.
That's my summing up of the whole situation.
Mine's similar. When I retort to people who probably haven't been around in a while and they meet Christine, I said, here, I've got everything I could possibly desire and nothing I don't.
Yeah, it's very similar. Very similar.
Well, you'll never know, because I'm going to play the song and let you get off the phone, and you'll have to call around. Okay, somebody tell me, what did he play?
There's so much love within our hearts, heaven knows. Yet in my life it seems to me it comes and goes. I didn't blame you when you first began to doubt, 'cause it was something I was still trying to figure out. I never thought that you could ever break my heart. I was a fool to think that we could be apart. I never knew till now what love was all about. It was something I was still trying to figure out. This world from turning, knowing time would not stand still. You couldn't stop this storm from rolling, as it always will. If there's some way around it all, I might have.
I did want to ask you, I something is in my head saying that you were at one point coached by Booker T. It must have been back in Fleur de Lis days.
Yeah, it was.
Did that involve you as a bass player or not?
Yeah, Duck Dunn, they were hanging around. When they first came over, our manager, Frank Venter, was running Atlantic. He had hired us as regular session guys in that studio, 5 days a week. But we were like, they're the English version of Booker T and the MGs. To actually meet them and learn the right way to do it, as opposed to listening to PR people, was a great privilege. So I can see Duck Dunn sat on my bass amp with his pipe in his country clothes, because they all look like farmers over from your neck of the woods, isn't it?
Muscle Shoals is not far from here. I don't know if that's where you were, but
I was supposed to go to Muscle Shoals with Armit Ertegun to make It Is and It Isn't, the second album, but it never happened. I did it in London in the end. But yeah, Booker T and the MGs, I've put it in print that they were our coaches, because it was such a good education we were having in London in '67. They came over on the first Stax tour, and for an education, it was very important. It was, again, this is the truth. And then I ended up joining King Crimson, and I just listened to baloney for a month or two.
I did. You notice I didn't even mention them.
Yeah, thank you. Because they were saying that you're doing it all wrong, and I said, well, I don't think so. I think you're doing it all wrong. They took 12 hours to get a drum sound. They didn't know what they wanted, but of course the critics, they call it art, and you couldn't win at that point. The truth had slipped away, and Booker T had slipped away, and Steve Cropper and all that lot, they'd all slipped away by the time I joined King Crimson, and you were into the land of the baloney artists, that you can con people. Again, that's where I think it's such a parallel between the way the world works and the way showbiz works. If you lie, if you tell the public a lie long enough, they'll end up believing it.
Yes, they will.
It's the same with bands, you know.
There is a well-known guitar player that you also are connected to, and hopefully you also realise that he turned his back long ago and did it his way. My friend Alvin.
Oh, Alvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah. I joined him for a while, and he became a Born Again, yeah.
His first solo was on the Road to Freedom. Oh, shout out to Evie if she's listening. His wife is in Malaga. She often tunes in. Yeah.
Remember me? Yeah, we got on very well. And he turned, you know, he went from the wild stadium rocker to Jesus. And good for him, really, because there were so many casualties that didn't, you know.
Right. Well, what he did was, with that On the Road to Freedom, was his solo album that was sticking it to a lot of the American promoters and companies that were offering him millions to come and play on tours. He says, no, I don't want to live that way. I don't want to be that person. I'm quite happy over here, you know. There was an in-joke that, you know, his kit never stayed in place overnight because he's not going to be playing twice. But he would stay in Europe. He didn't leave much. He was very happy on the compounds where he lives. And right towards I interviewed him probably 3 or 4 times. We got on famously, and there's some very funny ones on his website. But the very close to last album was called Still on the Road to Freedom, as if to say, ever since I turned my back, I've loved life. I love playing music. I love rock and roll. But I'm going to do it my way, and I'm not going to join in the circus. So he's another one of maybe for different reasons, but he got out.
Yeah, he was under tremendous peer pressure. I mean, he would say things like, "You're the first bass player I've ever had that doesn't smoke dope," because I turned it down. And 6 months later, he'd given it all up. And, and just sweet, man, and a nice home, nice everything. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's
still with us.
No, he's gone.
I didn't know.
He died 5 years ago on a botched surgery called an ablation, which is where you have atrial fibrillation.
Yeah.
And they burn on the heart. And he was 66. He absolutely should still be here, but because he chose to not travel, he had it done in Spain. So, fill in the blanks. One more quick technical question. I did look closely through. I did have my bins on, and I missed who was playing the misery whistle.
The misery whistle.
Sorry, the gob iron, the harmonica. Got him! I've got him! By George, I've got him!
You know what that is? That's Paul Buck.
Is it really?
Playing on a keyboard, I think.
Oh, that's cheating.
Cheating, yeah.
You know I'm going to check up on you and ask him.
Yeah. That's that was our little bit of. That's not real. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all right. It's for a good reason because it was only rarely used. So, and for those of you,
if I've forgotten somebody, I'm going to be in serious trouble. Went through all that bother replacing the synths with a real thing, and you forgot that you did it.
Well, so for those of you that are wondering why, you heard us talk about the shuffle version of "I'm Still Mad About You," which is an absolute the best killer song I've heard all year. Go listen to the shuffle version, right? Which is I call it. It's more of a staggered shuffle. I don't quite know how to describe the beat. There's a syncopation in there that I'm not qualified to explain. But it's the best. It's Gordon's DNA lyrically, but there's a misery whistle in there, and that's what prompted the question. Sorry.
The misery whistle. I've not heard it. Well, there's no misery with Paul Buck. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, well, there you go. Gordon, thank you so much. What a wonderful time talking about a fabulous album and the serious application of beautiful music. Doesn't have to be, there are negative things in relationships and sad songs and romance, but they can be taken and used as platforms and what they call it, buttresses. I always think it's a wonderful word. It makes me think of an aunt or someone in Yorkshire. To prop up something. They don't have to be negative, but a fabulous lovers album for all. I think it's, your 12th?
Don't know. I stopped counting.
I'll listen to you. I stopped counting. Okay, that's a good answer. But it's for all genres. I think it tickles all kinds of things. But like I said way back when, this is an album where you just let go, and it's joy. It's
it's a turn your life around record.
Yeah.
It turned my life around. It's a very positive thing. It's nice. It's funny, really. It's about heartbreak, and yet it's up. It's very, very up.
Yeah. So to me, the goal has already been met, and any revenue or praise that comes from it is pure bonus.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me and bearing all that in mind. Can you lend me a tenner?
I'm sorry? Hello? So we've got a dodgy line.
Line's gone. So, dodgy line. All right, Bob.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
That was an interview broadcast in June of the fantastic Gordon Haskell and this wonderful new album. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed in July with lung cancer and passed away just this last Sunday.